But we're not everyone here.
No.
I think Pumza should be in now. Pumza.
And the moderator as well, I guess we need to...
We're just waiting for a host.
You have to unmute. You still can hear. We can hear. Hi, Pumza.
There's some having problems hearing with the sound.
There's a microphone issues or sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, move. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
How are you?
Well, thank you.
Are you ready?
We are ready.
That's great. It's very nice to put I kind of did stalk you guys on LinkedIn and tried to find everything I could on the internet, but I had very short time. So, but it's nice to put live faces to the faces that I've seen previously. Yeah. Yeah. Where's Chidiogo? Is she with us? And I think we're missing one more person as well. No? We're not live, are we? Okay. So do we start?
Yeah, I think we are live.
All right, great. Yes, so to everyone tuning in, hello, and thank you for, tuning into a discussion about gender equality at the African Innovation Week. My name is Rahua Johannes. I'm the founder of Manifold, and I'll be your moderator today. I'd like to start with saying a very warm welcome to everybody that's tuning in, but also our distinguished panel for joining us today. And I hope we come out of this educated and having had a constructive discussion on gender equality. To just give you a brief context to why we are having this discussion today, we are about women. We hold 2/3 of the household spenders globally. We hold 40% of the global wealth. 40% of entrepreneurs in the world aren't women. 12% of large capital firms, CFOs, are women. And yet women are 25% less likely to be confident in their financial acumen. More than 50% of women who purchase financial services products for their corporation express dissatisfaction with the gender balance of teams that serve them. They're also 30% less likely to access sufficient funding for their businesses and more likely to be or underinsured than men. So I think it doesn't really need to go any farther than that. So I'm just going to start asking our panelists to introduce themselves. I'll start with you, Narmina. I'll just follow the screen.
Thank you so much to be here today. So my name is Narmina. I am the investment director at TechBridge Invest. I worked in finance and investments in the past 10 years. Being myself a quite young professional in finance, I think I've also experienced some of the challenges that women can face. And I'm also very passionate about lifting up females and pushing them to become more interested in investments and also trying to find female entrepreneurs to invest in as well.
Yes. I'm going to continue with Heidi, please.
So I'm the founder of She Community. So I've been actually working in the tech industry for 25, 30 years. So my background is from IT and telecom business, but I also started a lot of other companies like maternity clothes, building houses, and also work with selling clothes from other entrepreneurs. But my background is from really the telecom, and I worked at Telenor for 14 years. And my experience as a leader, just sitting around the table, just the only woman. And then I also started an IT company. So then I got the experience. You know, I didn't know any investors, so I needed, and after a while I understood that I needed to have more men on my team, so that we got men to invest in a female founder. So I've experienced both being a leader and an entrepreneur. and now I'm starting to be an investor as well. And so that was my background, why I wanted to start She Conference and She Community, to get more females to believe in themselves, to just do it. And if you want to start a company, if you want to, become a leader, or you want to do something in technology, whatever, finance, just believe in yourself and do it. So that was the background for the She Conference. Yeah, so that's me.
Thank you, Heidi, and welcome. Veronica, I'll continue with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica Mutlowutsi from South Africa. I am the CEO and the founder of Smart Digital Solution. It's an ICT company which I have founded 5 years ago, built to leverage the benefit of fourth industrial revolution. I have also started Smart Digital Investment Group, investing in product and solution and entrepreneurs that will further our value proposition. I love running my own business. It's an interesting journey, and I tend to learn a lot. I have a lot of executive experience. I've been in executive leadership position in telcos, in oil and gas companies, banking. So when I left full-time employment, I had enough experience to run and operate my company.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Anne-Marie?
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne-Marie Diaz-Borges. I'm a senior journalist with BBC Africa in London. I've been in the media industry for close to 2 decades, actually, and for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been really focusing on tech stories, and especially stories on African entrepreneurs all over the continent. So I am on a daily basis in close contact with women who are starting, that journey in entrepreneurship on the continent, sharing their thrill at starting that adventure, but also all the hardship that they have to overcome. Whether it is North Africa, West, East, Southern Africa, Central Africa, we tend to see the same recurring problems, which I'm sure we'll be able to discuss today.
Thank you so much and welcome. I only see you on the screen, so I'm wondering if Phumza is with us.
Phumza is with us.
I cannot see her. Phumza, are you with us? No. Okay. Chidiogo? Omawunmi? Okay, so I guess we'll just start because the session has started. So I will just direct the first question at Veronica. Yes. Please tell us about what is the inspiration behind Smart Digital, and in terms of gender equity, what kind of effects it can have in the environment, in the business environment.
Thank you. I've been in an ICT industry for about 22 years now, and in all my engagement, there were few women represented at senior leadership structures as well as in entrepreneurship. We haven't seen a lot of women running their own businesses. And for me, it was an opportunity because I've done a lot of research and studies on how women can be retained in this industry. And I decided that I really have to go out there and make a success out of it and be one of those role models. People that can be done.
The sound is a bit distorted.
Can you hear me?
Sorry to interrupt. There's an echo. Try again.
Can you hear me?
I think maybe one of us or all of us should mute if we're not speaking, because I think that's where the echo is coming from.
Yes. Perfect. So How can you also do that I'm on my screen?
Can everyone please mute their mics?
In yourself, Rahwa?
I have muted myself, but like it's the one. Even when I muted myself, it was echoing. All right.
Let me try again. Maybe somebody can try.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Hi, Omounmi. Nice to have you with us. Let's see, it's not echoing anymore, it seems. Okay, I had asked Veronica a question. Let us have her finish her answer, and then we can come back to you so that you can introduce yourself. Veronica, please. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No problem. The echo is still there.
I think maybe the echo might be coming from you.
Because I only have this application opened.
Yeah, now it's good.
Much better. So as I've said, I've been in an industry for 20 years and being in an executive, full-time employed, and still there were low level of representation of women. And as I engage with customers coming to looking for business from us, we see that most of them were men. And we are in an environment in South Africa where there's a what you call Black economic empowerment, and there's a lot of drives to get women, into business. And for me, it was an opportunity, understanding the industry, understanding the product and services, and what is it that is required to win. I decided to go on my own, having acquired all the necessary knowledge and skills to run my own organization, which is 5 years old by now. And we have big customers, multinationals such as Bidvest, in the logistic side. We have big companies like Afrocentric Health, and we work with banks as well, providing those solutions to a point whereby I've got to a point whereby I can now invest in other businesses, and I am buying also telecommunication assets that will be launched in the next coming years. So it is a challenge worldwide. We know that women are not represented in many industries, and technology or ICT is not unique. We've got a lot of challenges there bringing women. They come in numbers, but they leave very quickly. Having been a lecturer myself, seeing little girls or young women graduating with this degree, but you cannot trace them within the industries. That was also a challenge, and all my life I've been trying to dispel that myth that women can make it, because I'm one of many women, or few women who has done it, and it's my passion to involve other women. Women, if you are in a society, plays a critical role. We raise families, we look after our siblings, we contribute to our economy in a significant way, and there's no way we cannot participate in our economy.
Yes. Thank you so much. Such an important contribution here, because it's very important that we can help each other in any way we can. I think I'm going to ask Heidi the same question, because you do a lot of similar things, just in different contexts. Please add some wisdom to that.
So we work to get more female entrepreneurs, but also especially in the technology sector. And I see that maybe in the technology, they like myself, I started to be an engineer, but then I found it more interesting to working with product management, sales, and rather than working with the technology in itself. So I think to inspire and to get more women to learn coding and development and be part of the technology. And also, if you think about, the products that we sell to women often is made by men. So in that case, I think we have to step up to make sure that we get the right products.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. And I must say, it's so interesting to sit here and talk to you guys. So I really want to listen to and to hear about what you think. But yeah, so do you have any other thoughts?
No, I actually think it's that was a very good contribution in terms of especially the market losing out if women do not participate in there. But I think I'm going to move on to Narmina. You're an investment officer, and you mentioned in your introduction of yourself as well that you know the challenge because you've been on both sides. What would you say is the biggest disadvantage women have in terms of? Yeah.
Well, being a female myself, I think it's difficult to say what disadvantages women have. But I think that when it comes to raising funds, is that women have few female role models that have paved the way. So the other problem on the other side is that men are investors. If you look at VC funds, PE funds, in general, those that possess capital are men. And when investments are evaluated, we tend to look at historical track records. You look at a team, what they have done before, what they have delivered, in order to be able to do predictions for the future. And the same goes when you want to evaluate a team and you see female founders. You don't have a historical track record. We can't go to the stock market and say that we have a female Jeff Bezos or a female Mark Zuckerberg. So there are so few female perceived to be successful founders that we can look up to and say that, well, they've done it before, hence we believe more in women. So I think that's one of the disadvantages. So we need to create that historical track record, but we need to do then is to invest in females in order to build that track record. So that goes hand in hand as well. And another problem is that when we look at that historical track record is that there are very few females in decision-making roles, even when we look to equal societies like Norway, and Heidi would know more about this, that still there is a glass ceiling here. So women don't make it to the very top. And again, it goes back to when you want to evaluate a startup or a team, and then to look at what have other women done globally to kind of be those role models. So I think that's definitely a challenge for female founders. Another one is that Heidi also touched upon is that network. It seems that men are so much better to network and kind of be a part of that business space, whereas women tend to have more back-end roles, so they don't necessarily meet those strategically right persons that are interested either in connecting you forward or investing in you. So I think women also have to work much harder to build that network as well.
Yes. Thank you. That's a very important point you raised just there.
Did we lose connection?
Something just happened. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why I just got taken aback. Yeah, you said in your introduction as well that you have worked with women all across the continent. What would you say is their biggest challenge in terms of raising funds and also being taken seriously? Because you said Narmina said that it's a bit difficult in terms of seeing a track record of women that have done businesses and that have shown that they're very successful. What would you add to that? We can't hear you. Let's see. We can't hear you. You're still, yeah. Oh dear, no, you're still mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, finally.
Oh,
Please.
fantastic, fantastic. So I think like Veronica, Heidi, and Nermina have said, lack of funding really is a major issue, certainly across Africa. And one of the reasons is that there is still a huge chunk of community of African women who don't even have a bank account at the moment, who have very much difficulties to find bankable solutions for them. If I take certain countries like Niger, Mali, etc., very often banks will ask the women for collateral. And very often that will mean, for instance, to have a relative vouch for the viability of their business, or maybe have some sort of land to sort of, you know, hold accountable in case something goes wrong. But very often in these communities, for instance, male have access to land, not necessarily women. So again, access to banking or funding solution very often for these women have to go through a male relative or friend or representative. That's one issue. The second issue that I find very much is that we know that when it comes to Africa, for instance, it is a continent of women entrepreneurship. We see women starting their companies very often with little funding, and they do it. But the problem is that we are yet to see top female earners in male-dominated sectors. There is a huge disparity in how much money women are able to make in the kind of sectors that they operate. So if I take, for instance, agriculture, a female-managed agricultural plot of land in sub-Saharan Africa, on average, is less productive than a plot managed by men. So here we go back.
I'm sorry to interrupt you because we cannot hear you. Veronica, can you please mute your mic?
You can mute. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Oh no.
Yes, the echo.
There's an echo.
Yeah.
Everyone, please mute your mics.
Oh, I think that's better now. So
Yeah,
just before leaving, because I'm very mindful of the time, there's basically a study that was made in 97 countries over 4 continents, and it showed really that in male-dominated sectors, that's where you find the top earners, and men, those sectors actually earn in average 116% more than women-owned firms in female sectors. So I think that here we really need to try to make sure that women actually bridge across all sectors so that they are able to make the same amount of money as men in those sectors. And just before finishing, I would like to say that we're really here to try to harness and unlock the potential of women's contribution all over the world. We are losing out every day because most women are not able to contribute fully to their economy. And as Veronica said, in terms of banking, it is proven that women make more regular repayments to the bank. And when a woman is given money, when she achieves, she's more likely to build schools and hospitals. If she is herself in a comfortable position, she will make sure that her children are in turn in a very comfortable position. So whenever you give wealth to a woman, it really impacts the whole society. And finally, I would just like to mention a very shocking figure. Sub-Saharan Africa loses approximately $95 billion annually because women are not integrated to the regional economy.
Wow. That is indeed a shocking number. And it's very sad. I think the world in general loses out if for not having women represented in all sectors. Omowunmi, it seems like your internet connection is very unstable. Could you try and introduce yourself, please? Yes.
Oh, great. Hi, I'm Omowunmi. I work for the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. I head the business support unit. And what we actually do there is to provide access to affordable finance to MSMEs within Lagos State, and also capacity building. And I mean, this is a topic that I'm quite passionate about, gender equality, because we're quite big on that at the Trust Fund, because we realize that most times the women that we have worked with, or the MSMEs that we have that are the women, they are at most times disadvantaged. And so we always try to create support systems for them that we can make them thrive and ensure that their businesses grow. I've also worked in the finance sector as an accountant, a chartered accountant, but I've sort of found myself moving across to this to the public sector now. So that's me in a nutshell, and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for joining us. Before we, I don't know why I'm echoing. Can you please, can everybody turn off their mics until I can get is everyone's mic off? All right. Okay, great. You can hear me. Before we lose you again, I think I'm going to try and get the most out of you, Omonmi. So you did work in the finance sector, and it is a very it's going again. I get thrown off all the time. It's known for being very male dominated, and as you said, it's a very important subject for you that there's an equal representation of women. But just like other sectors, there's a huge gap in representation. What is the financial sector missing out on by not having balanced representation in the industry?
So for me, having worked in the banking sector, in the financial services sector, I think that quite a lot is missed out by not having an equal, or at least a near equal balance between women and men. And for me personally, I think that the main thing that is lost is the fact that there isn't the diversity of ideas. So I'll explain. So when you have a woman at the top of the pyramid, or so to speak, at the pinnacle of the pyramid, and you have a man at the top of the pyramid, more often than not, you find out that the way that they would think would be slightly different. So for example, women have this natural or innate caring and nurturing characteristic that sometimes, I'm not saying all men, but sometimes you would find is missing in the counterpart, in the male counterparts. And so when you find out that there's predominantly not enough women representation in that sector, in the banking sector, you ideas sometimes are skewed towards a certain type. I'll explain. So at the board level, where you find that it's male dominated, you find sometimes that some of the decisions are a bit cutthroat, or so to speak, just cut across in the middle. But when you have a female at the top of the pyramid, you find out that sometimes, because of that inherent caring nature, the ideas, decisions that are made are a bit softer. Well, I'm not saying that's always the case, and these decisions more often than not help to aid sustainability of that company, or of that idea, or of the strategy that the organization is. So for me, I think that diversity of ideas is there's just a different way that we think between male and female, whether at the top of the pyramid, at the middle, or at the bottom. And I think that when you have a good representation of women on, say, for example, the board or at management level, then you get a good diversity of ideas. You get a good pot of ideas. You get a holistic view. You get robust ideas, seeing it from different perspectives. And so that, for me, I think that's one of the key things that is missing when you don't have that female representation within that banking sector or financial services sector.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Can you please mute your mic again? That's very important. What you just said. Cognitive diversity is especially very important in terms of creating new ideas. Let's see. I want to ask Veronica and Heidi, because you both have background in tech. And I want to know why there's such a poor representation. I still can hear myself. Can somebody please mute their mics? Yeah, thank you. Why is there a lack of representation, even though we know that there are qualified, very well qualified women in the tech industry? Can you please try and explain why there is a problem? Is it unconscious bias? What is contributing to this issue? And how can we try and fix it or bridge the gap in that sense? Veronica, would you like to start?
Yes, I will start. So there's many reasons why that is happening. So I will take most of women, we are breadwinners, all right? So as soon as you finish school, you are geared towards being employed, not being an employer, because you've got immediate needs that you have to take care of. So the first few years of your life is about employment, earning a salary, and sometimes committing yourself to certain things that you cannot get out of them in the later stage. So the risk of starting a business really becomes harder for you. And at school, we were taught to be employed, not to be employers. We never taught entrepreneurship at school. So it really starts there. You only get it later in life where you are committed, you've got houses, you've got children, you've got so many things, and the risk becomes really higher to move into entrepreneurship. And the other things that there are, networks. You need to belong to certain networks to be able to get business. There are things that you need to do, play golf, you are a parent, you're a new mother, you are all that. You don't have the whole time, you have to collect from school, and there are certain responsibilities. So it becomes a burden for certain women, right? And the other thing is the funding, and which we'll talk to it now. Women, we struggle to get funding from banks. Okay, and the way banks evaluate the business cases, particularly for the ICT, it hinders us women to get business. I will share an example. You might have a project that you want to get it to bankability. In order to get it to bankability, you need to have off-takers. All right, off-takers. But how do you, and price guaranteed off-takers. Now, with the IT platform, which is not really well built because you don't have money to build it, you haven't sold it enough to the customers, it hasn't been priced very well. It will be difficult for the bank to even entertain you. So some of the things that we are advocating for in South Africa is to also get the business to understand that IT projects are very different. IT products, or ICT products and services are really different. And right now we are in the digital era. There's a push, and COVID is pushing us harder, to release products and services. So the banks have to really change their scorecard when they evaluate our project. So you need then, as a woman, either you have a friend or family who can invest in you. If you don't have that, then you'll struggle then to get the banks or some of the even angel investors believing in your business case, because it's very hard and unique.
Thank you, Veronica. Heidi, please, if you have something to add to that.
So I think it's also one thing that we see is because like She Community, we work with the knowledge network and tools. So what we see is we work to get more female leaders into the companies, especially in male-dominated industry. So if you have a critical mass of 30% women in the leadership, then you will get more inclusive environment and culture. So it's both having a leader as a female leader or a founder, but also think about the diversity in the company when you recruit. And also one thing is about, you said about bank and funding. We see that in Norway, we probably have a bit more help from the government, like Innovasjon Norge, and you have a lot of money around there for early stage. But then what we see is that a lot of women that start companies, maybe they think too small. So think about, when you have the business model, when it comes to technology, that you can actually scale, because we started with an entrepreneur nearly 10 or 15 years ago in Norway. So we're really early stage. But so 2% of the VC capital goes to women here in Norway. And so think about how you can scale and make business models as software as a service or a subscription, so that you actually have to think digital and globally. And the last thing that you mentioned, Veronica, the network. I think both the knowledge, how can I get access to capital, and also how to build the network so that you can find money and get to know the investment and the finance industry and the investor network. Yeah, so it's my additional to what we see here in Norway.
Thank you, Heidi. We're very quickly running out of time, and I see that one of our panelists have joined. Chidiogo, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Could you please very quickly introduce yourself and just introduce yourself, and then we can take it from there. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Rawa, it's Chidiogo and Phumza who just joined.
Yes, Chidiogo. Yes, please. You're.
Rawa.
Yes. Who am I talking to?
It's Chidiogo and Phumza. I don't know if you can see me on the screen.
I cannot see you, Phumza. I'm so sorry. The only person, the newest person on the screen is Chidiogo. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Please, both of you, introduce yourselves.
Thank you so much. I'll be so quick to allow Chidiogo to go in as well. My name is Phumza Gyani. I'm from South Africa. And I also pride myself with about 18 years in the ICT space. I have an absolute love for the gender equity discussion because we have to move. I am so elated that we're getting into the era where we're not talking about representation only, but we're talking about equal representation, because it's no longer okay for just one woman to be in the seat, but we want a representation of the demographics of each country. So the narrative is changing. It's exciting to be here today.
Thank you, Phumza. Chidiogo, please. You're still on mute. So you can't. Well, jump in anytime when you, if your mic ends up working. But I think we're going to have to keep the conversation going because we only have 16 minutes left. And I strongly urge everybody to keep their answers as concise as possible. But and you're a very capable woman, so I'm not really worried about that. Now I'm going to go back to Narmina and ask you a question about angel investors and the representation of women in that. Have you had any, and if you've not, what is your observation on that situation and mentorship, and what both men and women are losing out on by not having enough women represented in that sector?
Specifically on the observation of how many angel investors are females, or in general representation?
No, statistics show that there aren't enough, nearly enough, because there are a lot of women sitting on knowledge and capital, and they don't really get into that field because they don't feel like the field is not very well tailored for women. But so what are women in women and men entrepreneurs that would like mentors, angel investors, losing out on by not having enough representation with that regards?
Okay, so just on that angel investor question is that, as Heidi mentioned, that in Norway we have some facilities and frameworks around early stage investors where the entrepreneurs or governments can go in and support with some funding at the very stage, angel investing stage. Now on the African continent, we don't see that, and in general, African investors are underrepresented on the continent. So I think it's a problem that we don't see local investors investing in local ideas. They tend to favorize either real estate or maybe even go abroad. So I think that's a problem in general, which I think that from my perspective is that Africa is a continent of opportunity. And if you're not investing there, you're missing out. And all that innovation that is happening on the continent, not being there at the early stage, when the innovation is happening, you will also miss out as an early stage investor. So hence also why we think it's wise to be there. In general, also, I think that it's a problem for maybe, we have to distinguish what is a entrepreneurial problem, so problem for entrepreneurs, and then also for female entrepreneurs. And access to funding, I think, is in general a problem for all entrepreneurs at the very early stage. And I think that is even more challenging on the African continent as well.
Rahwa, you on mute.
Thank you. I was actually trying to talk to you, Phumza. Please, I know you are very well experienced.
Oh, wonderful.
Please add to that.
Okay. So look, I think Nemina is. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. I think Nemina is spot on. However, in South Africa, we are still seeing that there is quite a big gap in as far as angel investors, the female versus the male, where you're seeing a big gap. I think the stats I was reading yesterday was saying that 3% of the angel investment funds are dispersed by females versus 96% of male, which tells you that there still is a massive gap in as far as you know, female angel investors. I am part of the World Business Angels Forum, which is really part of our initiatives in really forming part of angels investors and not just complaining about them not being there, but forming part of the pipeline of angel investors that will also influence other women to be part of the angel investors. I think Veronica was also spot on in saying, you know what, there's starting to be a pipeline of women who are entering the space and making sure that they reinvest into the industry. Otherwise, ladies, we will cry forever, because it takes a woman listening to another woman's bid and understanding exactly what's at the heart of that you know, proposal. So it really requires a lot of us when we get to being successful, but to be joining the part of the pipeline of angel investors. There's still about a $49 billion gap in as far as the investments that are being made between male and female in Africa. So it tells you just of the opportunity. I think the greatest part of it is also, you know, whichever lady gets there first, to start playing a mentorship part to other women. Because part of the access issue to finance for women is about women also giving up, because the process is as long, it is unfavorable to women. Veronica mentioned one of the issues, that the terms are unfavorable for women and they require things that are culturally not what we had as women. They require you to have collateral, and you'll find that very few of the women actually have, you know, access to housing or access to things that they can make as collateral. Angel investors also need to be lenient and start to introducing at least terms that are lenient towards women, and start having propositions that are specific to women, understanding that they're different to males. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that input. That's very important, because I think that kind of also discriminates, whether it's positive or negative discrimination. Discrimination is never okay. So the terms and conditions, or the conditions that investors come with when it comes to women, can be a bit unfair, and can draw back people in their development. Anne-Marie, I'll come to you because I know you've worked a lot with women and seen the challenges, but as well as the potential and what they can do across the continent. But we also know that the media sort of controls how we see the world. And sometimes there is a lack of representation in terms of even being experts, or being represented as experts. Anchors, reporters, whatnot. So what I want to know is, how can the media be used to bring about positive change in reducing biases and discrimination, but also bring about positive change to create opportunities to empower women?
Mm-hmm. This is obviously, as you can imagine, a question that's really, really close to my heart. And I'm going to summarize this by saying that I got in this industry because I didn't see myself. I simply didn't see myself, and I found it so frustrating. And studies show that people who get frustrated or even angered if they don't see themselves in the media. All races, are concerned with this. And very often we think of media as something that we watch, that we listen to, but it is very often one of the first commodities for all of us on the planet. We all follow the news, we all have smartphones, so the media really, really has a very, very strong and important role to play. I think that today, more than ever, especially with this pandemic, we realize that COVID-19 has been this huge equalizer. We are all going through the same thing today. And today, more than ever, the public wants to see stories that represent themselves. They want to see people who tell their stories, not only that, but people who look like them, who speak like them, who really feel what they are feeling at the moment. I think that gone are the days where you had a very cold presenter, very often male and white, telling your story. Someone sitting in London or in Paris telling you about what's happening in Cameroon or in Mali or in Johannesburg. And so I think that in terms of the media, it is about putting the whole of the society on screen. How can women feel empowered or even proud of who they are if they are not represented in the media? I think that is a very, very important card to play here. And if I take what I do on a daily basis as an example, at the BBC, for instance, for the past year, we've had this program called 50-50, where we pledge to put 50% of women on screen, and very often all of us really insist that they are African women telling their own stories. I've just finished working, for instance, on a program in Guinea-Bissau with this lady who's a doctor, and like so many African women, or not just in Africa, but she has her side hustles as well, because her main job doesn't pay enough for her and her families. So she is a doctor, but on the side, she has started a homemade ice cream and yogurt business. And throughout the piece, I didn't intervene. I let her tell her own story, because how can I know what she's going through? And I think that when it comes to Africa, certainly very often we find solutions coming from elsewhere. And I think that the media is not set apart in terms of a sector. People nowadays want the media to really represent them. That means that the media needs to be thought, needs to be presented by the people it is really speaking to. And going back to Heidi and also what Phumza have said, the media is no different at all. We can see a lot of women presenters on the screen, but not that many in the boardroom. And we all know that it's in the boardrooms that decisions are made. And studies again show that the more that companies where female at the boardroom level tend to employ more women. And going back again to what Nermina, Phumza, Veronica have said, it is also about being trailblazers. Who came first has to open doors for those coming after us, really. So I think it really is a responsibility for myself as a journalist, but for all of us, to make sure that we create opportunities for those coming after us. And it is really about giving the floor and the mic, in my instances, to those who are firstly concerned.
Wow, thank you so much. I think I don't think it could have been said any better. Thank you very much. This is also something I really am passionate about, so you just preach to the choir. Now we're very quickly running out of time, and I wish we had like 4 hours because you guys have so much to share here. Could you please, like in 30 seconds or so, wrap up and say what women, but also the rest of the population can do to support and promote diversity in all sectors, not just entrepreneurship, but all sectors. Heidi, I'll start with you. You're on mute.
No, pay it forward. I think it's our responsibility. I think, one thing is that if you have success and you have experience, pay it forward. And make sure that you use your network and share the network with other people so that you can help other grow and scale. Yeah.
Thank you. Nermina, please.
Sure. So definitely put it on the agenda. I think all companies and also VCs, PEs, investors as well, challenge your biasness, challenge yourself, challenge your investment criteria, and open up to think about, are you also looking into women founders as well? So definitely have it on the agenda, and then also create policies. I think through some policies, we can also then make it clearer and for it to be on the agenda as well.
Thank you so much. Anne-Marie.
I think we need to be unapologetic. We need to stop trying to justify the reason why we want more. It is self-evident. We've all said here how much women contributions can totally change and boost, economies. So I think it is about being unapologetic. We are here for a reason, and it is about showing solidarities as well. Those who have made it to the top, open doors for those coming after you.
Thank you so much. Veronica, please.
In addition to what has been said, I'll say let's not be shy to share our stories, and let's be authentic about sharing our stories, and also challenge the journalists to cover the stories of women who are willing to tell the truth and be authentic about it, so that we can have more role models out there.
Yes. Chidiogo, I don't know if you still have mic problems. Oh, we can hear you. Hi. I'm so sorry. We can have you we can ask you any questions, but please, the question.
All right. Really just want to lend my voice to a lot of what has been said already, but to your question, I think we can acknowledge that there's a lot of imbalances in the world right now as is, and there is a really powerful role for women to play in addressing some of these system level challenges that are in many ways really the result of a system that is not set up to serve the whole. And what I'm saying here is that what does it mean in our addressing inequalities for women to play a critical role in completely questioning the system, in completely infusing a different energy that thinks beyond the individual, thinks beyond profit, but thinks of the larger scale impact that we need today in terms of growth and sustainability and caring for each other and equality and all these things that really cannot be ignored. And we see it again and again, even now more than ever. So my take is that there is actually a really powerful role to acknowledge that women are needed right now to really be part of a global conversation and a global stepping into healing and recreating a system that has not served the people in a way that there is a potential for it to do so.
Well, thank you so much. It seems like we only have 30 seconds left, so I don't think I can have Omounmi and Phomza, if you are with us, to say anything. I'm so sorry. I wish I had more time with you guys, but Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this will not be the last time we'll have you. Also, we really wanted to take up intersectionality and acknowledge different parts of the inner communities, subgroups of women, but we really didn't have time. But thank you for joining us and have a lovely day. Thank you. Oh man, that was really great. Thank you guys so much. I don't think we're anytime. No, actually we have 4 minutes and 17 seconds extra. Oh. Please. It seems like I don't know how deal room works. So Omo and me, please. Unmute yourself, yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah, so for me, I mean, everyone has pretty much said everything. One thing I know for sure is, yes, things are getting better with gender equality. However, we are not the way. So I think for any organization that wants to be taken seriously now, they need to infuse gender diversity in their strategy, in the business strategy, whether it's in the banking system.
But people can hear you. We can hear them. We still want to hear from them. We still want to hear from them. Okay, come here.
Thank you. Nobody can see us now. It's only we people.
All right.
Live session has ended. Thank you so much for your presence.
Okay, thank you. All right, yes, so very much. Okay, thank you.
And Pumza, are you with us?
I think
no. Okay, I will be in touch. Thank you so very much. It's been lovely hearing all of you.
Okay,
and thank you. I wish I had heard more from some of you, but technical issues.
Thank you.
Bye,
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.